Okay,
Hey,
you're good.
Satish.
Hey Vicky.
Okay, you can share now. You can share your screen. Okay. I'll say a couple of words, probably some in Bulgarian for a couple of minutes, and then off you go. I'll let you present yourself, and then do the talking and everything.
Yep.
We'll have a couple more minutes until people start arriving. How's your weather back home?
It's raining here.
It is? Is that good or bad?
It's good. Good.
Here it's kind of record hot. It's not very nice. Okay, Satish, I'll say a couple words in Bulgarian. Здравейте, това е поредната сесия на ОАС България. И Сатиш днес е дошъл и ще ни говори за Undergold, което е tool написан на Kotlin, с който можем да правим тестове. Satish, you can start. I guess the name comes from WebGoat, and it's a wordplay.
Yeah.
And you can say a couple words about yourself, and I guess you have slides for that. And I'll here you go.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, based on your time zones. I'm Satish Patnaik. And so I'm happy to present this Undergood session in our OS meeting. So let me take you to the, Yeah. So before starting the Android session, let me give a small introduction about me. I have around 10 years of experience in the cybersecurity field. As you know, I am the author of the Android, and also I own another tool called as Scan and Read XML, which is basically takes APK file as an input, and it will analyze for some vulnerabilities like Firebase, network security, config related vulnerabilities. Also, I have presented this Android application in Black Hat Europe 2020, and I hold SANS GMOP certification and AWS Security Specialist certifications. So coming to the today's topic, the Android. So Android is basically a vulnerable Android application which is developed using the Kotlin. So we have many applications which are developed using the Java, but this is the first vulnerable application which is developed using the Kotlin. So this is an open source application, and you can find out the Git repo here. Satish Patnaik, Android. So this is where the Git repo is available. And if you want to download the APK file, here is the link, which I'm going to show in the next slides as well. And also I have written few of the blogs on the Android, which you can find out under medium/Android here. Yep. So this is about the Android. And if you want to install the Android application, just you can visit this particular URL. Otherwise, you can scan this QR code, and it can be installable and ready to play. I mean, you would be ready to learn the Android application security testing with the Android. And also Android is listed in the OWASP MSTG Mobile Security Testing Guide here. I think I have opened that as well. You can find it over here. I think this is enough introduction and about the Android. So let us jump on to the actual topic for today. So as I told you, the Android is a vulnerable Android application which is developed using the Kotlin, and that covers these many vulnerabilities. So here I have listed, and all these vulnerabilities are also listed in the GitHub page. Right. And for example, if you take any application, otherwise, let me try to put it in a simpler way. If we want to learn the security testing, so we need an application which has more vulnerabilities, right? So that is where, with that intention, I try to add as many as vulnerabilities to this Android application, where you can see the network intercepting. Within the network intercepting, you can see HTTP, HTTPS, and certificate pinning. And later you can see different vulnerabilities here. Like, we need to set the pin. After setting the pin, it will ask us to enter the pin, and later we can there are some activities to bypass that particular pin. In similarly, we have different activities under the local data storage, input validation, and other activities. So one more important thing that I wanted to highlight in the Android is that, suppose if we go here and we don't know what to do, so that is the reason I have added the objectives here, so that the learner can understand what he has to do. For example, here he has to intercept the HTTP traffic. So this is one of the objectives here. And second objective is that intercept the HTTPS traffic in different devices, because there is a change from API 24 Arabo. So that is where I have added this particular activity as well. So if you take any activity here, so everything everywhere you have the objectives clearly set to the learner, so that he can focus on what he is going to learn. Great. So this is the objective parts in the Android. Let me try to demonstrate few of the vulnerabilities in today's session. It may not be possible to demonstrate all the vulnerabilities here, but let me try to demonstrate few of the vulnerabilities. So the first vulnerability that I would like to demonstrate is that the Firebase vulnerabilities. And this is one of the important check that we need to test when we are doing the Android or mobile application penetration testing. So there were already records compromised due to the misconfiguration of the Firebase. So this particular activity will help the learner to understand what is the Firebase vulnerability and how to identify these vulnerabilities. Okay, so let me quickly jump onto that. To do this, what I would require is either I would require the source code, otherwise APK file. So now what I'm going to do, instead of decompiling the application, I wanted to show you that on the source. Let me jump onto here, main, and in the res folder, in the values folder, generally we will be seeing strings.xml. So the strings.xml is generally defined to contain some of the variables, for example, app name, the welcome text, so that I can reuse this particular variable whenever I want in the application. So this is one of the resources to find out the Firebase URLs. So for example, if I search for something like Firebase, okay, maybe I am unable to find over there. So, but what I wanted to do is I have already decompiled the application. So once I go here in the res folder, in the same location, values and the strings.xml, you can see here. So in the strings.xml, you can find out Firebase. So this is the URL which is available in the strings.xml file. Now what I wanted to do is I wanted to copy this and append/json format here. And now you can open this in any one of your browsers. So at the moment, let me go here and let me try to take the incognito mode, a private tab, enter here. See, here I can see the sensitive information, which is like user is equals to Andrew code and the password is Andrew code. So what is the root cause here? Because this Firebase real-time database is configured in such a way so that it is available to the public. No, the read access is given. So it is open to the public. Anybody, everyone can read this particular data. In the same way, there were many applications exploited with this particular vulnerability due to the misconfiguration. So if there are multiple URLs, maybe in the strings.xml, you can also search in the same way. To do no, to make Pentester's job easy, I have developed one more tool called as Scan Android XML, which will do this particular work for us. Instead of decompiling the application, going into the strings.xml, looking for Firebase, adding .json and opening it. So this is a manual process. Instead of we do it, I have developed a tool and that tool will be taking care of it. So that is where I'm going to show you now. So here is the Scan Android XML. This is a Python tool, and so just we need to run the Python command, Python 3, this one, and the APK file. So at the moment I wanted to give andrewcode.apk file. So when I try to hit enter, what it will do is it will decompile the application. It will search for strings.xml file. Inside that, it will check for Firebase URL and it will append .json and it will make a request. If this tool is able to read the response, something like this, it will log a vulnerability in this red color. You can see. So Firebase, this is the URL found, and this is where the data is readable. So it clearly highlights there is a vulnerability, even though you can use this particular tools in your bug bounties. Let's say in the bug bounties, you have APK file in your scope. So download it, run this particular tool, and it will analyze whether the Firebase real-time database is accessible publicly or not. So this is the one of the vulnerabilities that I wanted to demonstrate in this session. Let me quickly jump on to the another vulnerability where I wanted to discuss is the URL schemas. So generally we know that there are URL schemas like telephone, mail to, HTTP, HTTPS, all these are the URL schemas, but those are predefined. We can't modify those things. But there is a feasibility to the developers so that they can define the URL schemas in their own applications. For example, FaceTime, Twitter, something like that. So in AndroGoat application also, I have defined these custom URL schemas. In order to identify these custom URL schemas, again, we have to decompile the application. Otherwise, simply we can search for manifesto file in the source code. So now I have decompiled the application here, and let me try to open with that. So when we have the manifest file, generally we need to look for this keyword scheme. Here you can see the Vuln app is the host and scheme is the AndroGoat. So let me try to copy this and put it over here. Now from this, how can I form the URL schema or deep link or custom URL schema for my application? So the scheme is AndroGoat. So first scheme should come, then host should come. So Vuln app. So this becomes my, the custom URL schema or deep link for my AndroGoat application. Right. So once we identify this particular deep link, we need to run a command in order to launch the activity. So before doing that, before launching that custom URL schema, what I wanted to do here, let me go back to the application. Just give me a minute. Looks something wrong here with the device. Okay, let me quickly restart the device. It got down. It won't take much time. So while it is running, just wanted to show you the scan android XML is also capable of showing the deep link. So just we need to input the APK file, and once the scan is done, the scan android XML file or the tool will also show you the deep links as highlighted here. If there are multiple deep links, those will be listed out here. At the moment, AndroGoat has only one deep link. That is the reason it is showing only one deep link over here. So with these deep links, it may be possible to bypass the the login screens in the mobile application, or it may be possible to launch the screens which are not accessible to us in general. Look, something wrong here. Just give me a second. Let me start Genymotion first. Okay, come on. So there is an activity called as unprotected Android components in the AndroGoat activity. So there we need to set up the pin. Once we set up the pin, it will ask us to enter the pin in order to log into the application. So there we can download the invoice. What we are going to do is we are going to bypass that login in order to download the invoice. Looks something wrong there. Just give me a few minutes. All of a sudden, what happened to this? If this is not working, just I'm trying to give a try one more time. If this is not working, I will take the virtual device APT. I'm extremely sorry, guys. This started giving trouble in the live sessions. Looks the device is going to start.
Did you pray to the demo gods?
Yeah, yeah. So without that, the live session is not going to happen. I do see these kind of problems everywhere in the live sessions.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so I have taken little older device here. Now what I wanted to do here is okay. So I was talking about this one, an unprotected Android screen. Right. So here I have verified the PIN and I was able to log into the application and I can download the invoice here. So what my requirement is that I don't want to enter the PIN. Instead, I want to bypass this particular PIN. So that can be done with the help of these custom URL schemas. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this particular command and directly I'm going to launch that command. So to make it very clear, so I'm putting the device right side, command prompt left side. So now on the device, you can see we are on the verify pin screen, but after executing this particular command, you will be seeing that login screen is bypassed. So what happened here is that I tried to launch this custom URL scheme defined in the application, and I'm trying to launch that particular URL scheme, and I was able to successfully launch the screens which are available after authentication. So basically, I bypassed the login. So this is also one of the important vulnerabilities that I have seen Android application that is recent. It's being added to the Android code. So it may be possible to bypass the authentication. It may be possible to access the unauthorized data. It may be possible to access the hidden functionalities by launching these custom URL schemas. Okay, so that is what I wanted to show you on the custom URL schemas. And as I told you, the scan Android XML is also capable of identifying these deep links. If we don't know what is the deep linking here, and it will tell us what is the deep link over here. And also I'm planning to add this particular command, you know, this particular command in the scan Android XML, but I would be adding it in the next version of the scan Android XML. Okay, let's move on. After the custom URL schemas, I wanted to show you one more important feature in the Android code, which is very important for the penetration testers in to understand what is the certificate pinning, how to bypass the certificate pinning, and what is the advantage with the certificate pinning. So all those things are listed over here as well. So if we go to the network intercepting and under certificate pinning, here we can see the third objective, understand and bypass the certificate pinning using the different tools. Now with this particular slide, I would like to explain what is the certificate pinning, and later we will be seeing what is the advantage with that. So certificate pinning is basically a security control at the client side in order to prevent the MITM. So this adds an extra security layer to the mobile applications. So let us try to understand here. I have the mobile phone on the left hand side and the server right hand side. I have the application installed in the mobile phone, and my application has server certificate bundled. So this is called as pinning the certificate within the application. So when the certificate is pinned, what is the advantage we are going to see here? So at the time of the development, developer will pin the certificate. It could be certificate file or hash or maybe public key hash or whatever it may be. Overall, let's consider it as a server certificate identity, some unique identity. Now, when application is trying to establish the HTTPS connection with the server, generally, SSL negotiation will happen between the client and server. As a part of it, server will provide the server certificate to the client. Now, after receiving the server certificate during the SSL negotiation, the immediate logic is to verify the received certificate and the certificate which is already available in the application. So that is where the comparison will be done between these two certificates. If the comparison is matched, the communication will be established between the client and the server. So the communication will be established only when both the certificates are matching or same. This is the overall concept of the certificate pinning. Now let us try to understand how the certificate pinning is going to prevent the MITM attack. Now we have the mobile application on the left hand side, right hand side server. In between we have the proxy. As you know, the story server, the application is already having the certificate pinning. When we try to intercept the traffic, the application will try to do the SSL negotiation with the proxy first. Now proxy will provide its own certificate to the mobile application. Again, after receiving that certificate, the immediate logic implemented in the mobile application is to compare both the certificates. As you clearly see, this is the server certificate. However, this is the proxy certificate. Both are different. So when we compare these two things, the comparison will be getting failed. So both are not same. So that MITM will is not possible. You can't intercept the traffic there. So this is how certificate pinning is going to help us to prevent from the MITM attack. Now let us when okay, this is looking good, as you know, in protecting perspective, but when we are doing the penetration testing, this is a blocker for us. We can't intercept the traffic between the mobile application and the server. So there is a potential chance of missing server side vulnerabilities, maybe SQL injection, or maybe broken access control vulnerabilities, maybe SSRF vulnerabilities. All those has to be, are supposed to be tested and the traffic captured. Now, this encourages us to bypass the certificate pinning. So there are many ways to bypass the certificate pinning, like by doing the repackaging, replace the pins with the proxy certificate pins, and later we have the tools like Just Trust Me, SSL Unpinning 2.0, Frida objection. There are many tools. At the moment, I would like to show only the using Freedom, how to bypass the certificate pinning. So before bypassing the certificate pinning using the Freedom, let us try to understand how the Frida is going to help us to stop this, to bypass the certificate pinning. So till here, now these certificates will be compared, and definitely the validation will be failed. That is what pinning failed. Here you can see pinning failed. Now we are going to attach into this process with the help of the Frida. So by using Frida, we are attaching into the application process, and the pinning fail will be written to the application. But before it is written to the application, we already hooked into the process with the help of the Frida, and we will modify that value to the pinning pass. So basically, the actual certificate pinning is getting failed. However, with the help of the Frida, we are tampering that value, and we are lying to the application saying that the certificate pinning validation is successful. So when we tamper that value, and the application doesn't know about it, whether the Frida has tampered it or not. So it receives the return value. Based on the return value, it will establish the connection between the proxy and mobile application, so that we can intercept the traffic on the proxy here. So the Frida is doing the magic by tampering the value and saying to the application the pinning certificate pinning is pass. Now let us try to show with the help of the mobile application over here. Now just give me a second. I need to configure the proxy. As you know, we need to configure the proxy in order to capture the traffic from mobile application. So my IP address, my laptop IP address is 113. The port number is 8080. So click on save. Now I have configured the proxy in the mobile device. So just I need to open my Android application and let me check if proxy is properly configured. You can see left hand side I have the burp suite and the right hand side device. When I click on this, yes, I can intercept the traffic from the mobile application. It means the proxy is configured properly. But this is where we are not focusing, and we are focusing on the certificate pinning part. So now when I click on the certificate pinning, maybe some tool is running there. Um, it may be Expose framework. Yeah, as I told you, this Just Trust Me is enabled. So this is also one of the ways. Just Trust Me is also doing same thing like I have explained here, but using Frida we have attached. But here we attached the process to the process using the Just Trust Me. So if this is unchecked, actually we need to restart the device when this is turned off. So what I wanted to do is let me stop this and restart the device. So this is the problem with Just Trust Me generally. Whenever you enable or disable it, we need to restart the device. But with the Frida, we don't need to do that. That is the best advantage with the Frida. Meanwhile, let me also start the another device. Looks like something wrong with this Jenny motion today. What happened to this? Looks something wrong with the Jenny motion today. Okay, cool. One device is going to start. I will not turn off this device this time. Awesome. So one device is started.
Good for
Yes.
us.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, cool. So let's go to the Android Goat application here. I think I have already configured the proxy there, so no need to configure the proxy again. Yeah. So let me keep the device left side and the Burbsu right side here. Click on HTTP. Yep, proxy is configured properly. Cool. So now when I click on the certificate pending, you would be seeing the data is not captured on the burp suite. But at the same time, if you go to the dashboard, you would be seeing an error message saying certificate is unknown. So in the background, what is happening, as I explained in the slides here, the proxy was providing its own certificate to the Android Goat application, and Android Goat application was trying to compare both the certificates. So that was the reason we were unable to capture the traffic on the here burp suite. So let me try to show you one more time. When I click on this certificate pinning, you would be seeing the error message in the dashboard, and we haven't intercepted traffic. So now I wanted to bypass that particular certificate pinning validation with the help of the Freedom. So to do that, to save the time, I have already installed all the required tools in my laptop as well as in the device. So just simply what I wanted to do is I need to run the Frida server in the device. So this is how I need to run. Okay, so now Frida server is also running on the device. Then I am ready to run the Frida script, which is responsible for bypassing the certificate pinning. So let me run this particular command, Frida -u for USB to attach into the device, and L for the script pinning bypass.js, and then the package name sad.agoat. So let me hit enter so that this Frida script is attached into the Android Goat application, and whenever I click on the certificate pinning button, Android Goat is trying to do the certificate pinning validation, and Frida will hook into that process, and it will say certificate pinning is successful to the Android Goat application. So now when I click on the certificate pinning, you should see that traffic should be captured. Let me see what's wrong here. Okay, but it should be able to capture the traffic. What's wrong here? What is the version of this device? It's 6. Okay. I got the reason. So because we are running on the 6.7.1, it will not work. I will tell you why it is not working as well. If we run this particular script on the 6.0 device, it will definitely work. But here it is not working. Even we were unable to intercept the HTTPS traffic as well. See here. When I click on this HTTPS traffic, we were unable to intercept the traffic. The reason is that, which actually I supposed to cover in the next slide, but due to the device problem, I have to skip this. If that is working at the end, I will be showing you. But I think unknowingly we have already covered with the help of the Just Trust Me. Okay. So there is something called as network security config file. So this what happens with this is that Google has added some security control from Android 7 and above devices, where the proxy certificates will not be trusted by default in the Android 7 and above devices. Now you can see here the my Android device is 7.1. You can see here Android device is 7.1. So before this session, I have already installed my proxy certificate in the device. So when it is installed in the Android devices, my device is not going to trust the proxy certificates. So when it is not going to trust the proxy certificates, I will not be able to intercept the traffic. So that is the reason when I click on the HTTPS button, I am unable to capture the traffic. Here you can see we are getting some error message. So again, this is also good security control in terms of protecting the application. But again, this is not allowing us to capture the traffic, so that we could miss some of the server side vulnerabilities, right? So in order to bypass that security config file, again, we can do that with the help of the Frida. So let me quickly show you how to bypass that with the help of this Frida. Again, I need to run something called as Frida -u -l. Then this JavaScript file is responsible for bypassing the network security config file. Okay, so owasp-sat.agoat is the package name of Androgoat application, and you hit enter. Make sure that your Frida server is running. If the Frida server is not running on the device, you can't intercept the basically you can't attach the you with the help of the Frida. So now we have attached this nsc.js, which is responsible for bypassing the network security config. So earlier, when we clicked on the HTTPS button, we were unable to intercept the traffic. But now, with the help of the Frida, I'm trying to bypass that particular configuration. Now, if I click on this HTTPS button, I should be able to capture the traffic. You can see over here. Network security config file is basically bypassed with the help of the Frida. Not only like this, you can also decompile the application, add network security config file, and repackage it, install it in your devices. Then you will be able to capture the traffic, capture the HTTPS traffic on Android 7 and above devices. Now, if I click on certificate pinning, I should be able to capture the traffic because certificate pinning is bypassed. Network security config file is also bypassed. That is the reason we are able to see the traffic when I click on the certificate pinning button. This could be a straightforward one when I run it on the Android 6 or below devices, but due to the network security config file, it was not working before I was running the nsc.js file. Okay. So with this demonstration, hope I have covered two things. One is how to bypass the certificate pinning, and the next one is the network security config file here. Okay, so this is a good control. The proxy certificate will not be trusted by the device from Android 7 and above devices, which is fine. But in testing builds, generally the developers will be adding the network security config.xml file in order to capture the traffic, in order to trust the user certificate. You can see here, this is the file which is telling the device to trust the users to trust the user certificates which are installed in the device. Having this configuration in the production will allow the attackers or will allow to us to capture the traffic in the production application. So we should not have this configuration in the production applications. So that is where my another tool, scan Android XML, is also capable of identifying these kind of vulnerabilities. Okay, so at the moment we have two versions of the Androgoat. One is with network security config file, and second one is without network security config file. At the moment, in the device, the application is running without network security config file. Whereas here in the Android scan XML file scanning, I have used Androcode application which has network security config file. Now here you can see once the application scanned, you would be able to see this is the vulnerability found misconfigured network security config file, which will lead to MITM attack. So this is how the scan Android XML file will report these kind of vulnerabilities as also. So if you come across these kind of vulnerabilities, maybe you can talk to the developers in order to fix a particular vulnerability. Okay. Now let me jump on quickly to the other vulnerabilities like which I haven't written on the PowerPoint, but let me quickly take you through here. So we have seen unprotected Android components here. Let me try to set the pin as 1234 and set the pin. Now here the main focus of the learner is to bypass this particular login screen without providing the login pin. So one of the thing that we have seen is that by using the custom URL schemas. And another technique could be launching the exported activities. So by launching the exportable activities, we can also bypass this particular screen, which I'm not going to demonstrate here. Instead, I would like to show you other techniques with the help of the Frida. So now with the help of the Frida, I'm going to attach into this particular process where I'm going to brute force this particular pin. Now let me go here and I have the file called bypass game androcode, sorry, brute force using overload.js. So let me run the script -u-l brute forcing, then the package name. Okay. Right. So now my Frida script is attached into the Androcode application, but the Frida script is going to work when I click on the verify button. So notice on the command prompt, whenever I click on the verify button and the attached Frida will try to brute force the pin. So if I click on the verify pin, you can see it was trying to brute force the pin with different combinations. So for the demonstration purposes, I start from 1201 and whenever the pin is cracked, it is going to display this kind of message. So the pin is cracked like 1234.
A quick question. How does it know that it's connected to that specific button?
So that is where the program is written inside the brute force file. So whenever we click on the verify pin button, here we have verify pin button. In the Androcode application, this function is going to invoke. This method will be invoked. So with the help of the Frida, we are attached into this particular method and there we are brute forcing. So whenever the pin is cracked, it is going to display the message. Hope your question is answered.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, great. So this is one more activity that I wanted to show. And another thing is that generally we do not store the passwords in the clear text, right? So here, what I wanted to show you, sometimes we would be using weak hash algorithms or weak, encryption algorithms. So just I wanted to show you a simple example where this particular key is stored in the device, how it is stored in the device. So let's go here and type ls, and maybe here you can see pin details.xml. So whenever I read that pin details XML file, we would generally see this is the pin value set. So if I try to search for this particular pin in the internet, maybe you would be getting 1234. So this is like, taking the advantage of the rainbow tables. So you can see this is for 1234. You can see this is for 1234. So again, in this application, we are using the MD5, which is not basically secure. Okay, so this is one thing that I wanted to show. And also one of the most important part in the mobile application security testing is that local data storage. So here I try to put all the different combinations or different techniques available in the um, mobile Android application. So for example, if I go on click on the shared preferences part 1 and username password, imagine like you're logging into let's say Amazon, and you have to enter your username and password. You need to click on the login button, right? So we are assuming that we are logging into the that particular application, but we don't know whether that application is storing this data locally or not. So that is where this activity will help us to identify those kind of vulnerabilities. To demonstrate, let me try to put username is Satish and the password is Satish. Click on save button. Okay, so if I go to the shared preferences folder, list out the files, here you will see users.xml and then cat user.xml. You would be seeing the username and password is stored locally in the clear text. This is one activity. And one more interesting activity in the Android code is that if we go to the shared preferences part 2, here generally this is related to the gaming industry. So when we click on the score button, this is a simple game. So when I click on the score button, one score will be added. So now score is 3. If I click on score, it will be added to 3. Now, the objective of the learner is to get the 10,000 points. Obviously, he has to click on this particular um, button 10,000 time in order to win the game. But that is not a recommended way. So if we type ls here and see how the score is stored here. The score is stored in score.xml file, and you can see this is where. Here I'm not going to demonstrate here, but I'm going to show give you the idea how we can bypass this game. So simply you need to modify this. You need to modify this, you know, otherwise let me give a try here. So we need to modify this value. So before to that, make sure that this is closed. The application is closed. Otherwise it would fetch the score from the memory. So I would like to modify this as 9999. Okay, so if you type score.xml, and you would be seeing the value is 9999. Now what happens when I open the Android application? So basically it is going to trust this value. This value will be displayed on my application. Sorry, I need to go into the insecure data storage here and go here. At the moment it will display the this value, but when you click on this score, you can see earlier 9999 was the score which is stored in the device, and now as I clicked on score button one time, one score will be added, or 1 point will be added, so that the score is 10,000. When I click on score button one more time, I will be winning the game. So generally when you're playing the games, it is a general practice to store the score locally in the devices. So just to give the awareness, or the learning activity on that, I have created this particular activity on the Android application. In the same way, SQLite vulnerable, this is also one of the mechanisms available in mobile applications to store the data locally with the help of the SQLite. So for example, let me come out of this folder and then list out the files. Here you can see databases. At the moment, we have database called as AGOT. Okay, so let me try to enter some data over here and click on the save. So let me type ls again, and let me use SQLite tool in order to interact with the AGOT database. So just let me type tables command to see how many tables are there. You can see there is a table called as users. If I want to see the data inside the users folder, select star from. This is the command generally we need to run, and you would be seeing the data is stored as Satish Satish. Now, if I enter one more user, let's say 123 and 123 here, and if you run this command again, the one more user details are also added here. So this provides the learners to understand what is SQLite, what are the how the data is getting stored, and how to identify these kind of vulnerabilities in the mobile applications. Okay, so this is about the local data storage vulnerabilities. Apart from this, we also have other vulnerabilities like side channel data leakage. For example, if we go here, keyboard cache, insecure logging. For example, if I go here and let me take new command prompt, type adb logcat. So we no need to care about it. Let me try to enter this value. Maybe the device is having too many logs. Once this is stopped and you click on this verify button, you should be able to see the the data is logged over here. It may going to take some time. Yeah, here you can see the username and password. Here it is logged. So these device logs are basically accessible. These are world readable and world writable. It means that any application can read the data into this location and can write the data into this location. So as my AndroGoat application is writing the username and password, which is sensitive, and in my device, if there is another malicious application that could collect all this logs and could send it to the attacker control website, their attacker can search for these kind of patterns in order to get some sensitive information. Okay, so this is how we can check for side channel data leakage vulnerabilities in AndroGoat. At the same time, we have something called as cross-site scripting, SQL injection, and WebView related vulnerabilities as well. So, for example, if I go here under the cross-site scripting vulnerability, Mehel, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you,
Yeah,
but you stopped your
but
sharing.
yeah, looks like something wrong with my computer.
Yeah, it seemed like it, like you could see something was fuzzy.
Yeah,